I didn't understand what a miraculous system that we have in our body, and I thought things worked a little bit more isolated than they do. Dave Tate would talk about stuff, and I would listen to some of that because I was like, yeah, I think he's got a point. And Louis would hammer home like general physical preparedness, some GPP, like don't be a slob. You know, I know you like powerlifting and we're trying to get big. Same thing with bodybuilding. Like, it's cool to get big, but like, you shouldn't be out of breath all the time. Did you be turning red and getting all sweaty all the time?
Did you have any assumptions about certain things that, like, now you know wouldn't have taken away from you getting stronger, but you just didn't do it back then because you maybe believed that's not going to help me, or that's actually going to be detrimental to my strength?
Yeah, I think there's definitely that kind of stuff settles into your head of like, you don't want to do like cardio and stuff. But like, looking back at it, I mean, it's easy to say, it's hard to like have done it, you know, but like something as simple as going on an elliptical a little bit, like after a workout or something, would have been a really wise move. And I know people make fun of the elliptical all the time, but what a great piece of equipment to save the joints.
Yeah.
Like if you're a big boy, you got something that's helping you mimic some running. It's really, really a wonderful tool, you know? And I messed around with some stuff, but I honestly didn't do enough, and I didn't put enough into it. I also, I didn't understand what a miraculous system that we have in our body, and I thought things worked a little bit more isolated than they do. And you know, your ideas change a lot, but I just no longer think that. Like, some of the stuff I've done to lead up to my shoulder healing has zero to do with an external rotation, a rotator cuff exercise. There was not one rotator cuff exercise that I did. However, I would say that like that doesn't mean that what I did is the most effective way and that no one should ever do a rotator cuff exercise. But when you go to do something like your left shoulder's messed up, you go to raise your left shoulder up overhead, you'll notice that if somebody's watching you and you don't have your shirt on, you're going to notice that all kinds of stuff happens in your neck. All kinds of stuff happens on the other side. All kinds of things happen in your hips. Like if your shoulder's really damaged, you'll get what's called like a hip hike. Like you'll hike up a hip or you'll lower a hip. Yeah. So that way you barely raise your arm up because your body is really fucking intelligent. Your spine, your nervous system, something in your brain will be like, we're not good with that arm being too far away from the body. So let's shut down the abs and let's kind of just put the arm here, like you're barely raising your arm to answer a question rather than being able to, you know, to fully express putting your arm up. And even now my shoulder is still tight. So I got to make some compromises through, and Sturette's been talking about this for a million years too. It's not like the information wasn't there. I just sometimes, you know, was pretty resistant to it because I had my own things that I was doing. But also I was implementing some new stuff here and there, but you only have so much power to kind of like let those influences hit you. And you're just like, you know what? I just need to fucking go work out. You know, I can't sit here and think about this all the time. I have to go and train. Yeah. And so I took what I could take, and I utilized some of Sturette's methods, and did some distraction work with bands and some things like that. But one thing I would really advise people to do with no matter what sport they choose, Matt Wenning nailed it by talking about like the time domain. Like, be really careful with time domains and be careful with how long and can I get a hey now hard you want to do something for.
That was a good one.
Pat Project family, how's it going? We talk about sleep all the time on this podcast. That's why we partnered with 8 Sleep mattresses. Now, this mattress is the Tesla of sleep. It's the Tesla of beds. Its technology tracks your heart rate variability. It changes its own temperature based off the way you sleep so that you get better sleep every single night. It is quite literally insane. Check them out. Andrew, how do they get it?
Yes, and before I do that, I wanted to let you guys know that you can actually set the bed to wake you up silently. I know that sounds weird, but actually the bed starts vibrating around your head and it doesn't wake up the entire household the way my phone used to do back in the day. So now I just kind of have the bed wake me up silently, and it's amazing. You guys got to head over to 8sleep.com/power project. That's EIGHT sleep.com/power project. When you guys go there, you'll see a banner across the top saying that you're going to receive $150 off automatically. So again, that's 8sleep.com/power project to receive $150 off your Pod Pro cover or your Pod Pro cover and mattress combo. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
Because it was good. It's good for all of us. Be careful with it's a really interesting thing when it comes, and I know everyone hates me now because I just talk about running all the time, but like running, if you run like a fucking pussy, like you go out and you run really slow, that's one of the best ways to get good at running. It's been proven like time and time and time again. They actually think that Roger Bannister, the first guy to break the 4-minute mile, they think he could have done like a 3:45 or 3:48 minute mile if he had some of the modern technology that we have today that gives you a little bit of feedback to track your heart rate and stuff. He was like, fuck it, man, I'm just gonna run as fast as I can. And he did. And he fucking, he proved that his method worked. And we don't have any way to know that a different method would have worked better for him, but we can speculate because there are guys that run a lot faster than that now. The 4-minute mile is done by a lot of high school kids. So it's pretty crazy. But one way to get faster at running, obviously you can't only run slow. That's not going to work forever. But the majority of your training, as we were talking about with lifting too, is in like the 75 to 85% range, which is not really asking a ton of you. If you can run, I don't know what the equation would be, but just hypothetically, I'm just going to throw this out there, and it might be a little bit off mathematically, but if you can run like an 8-minute mile, you probably want another minute to 90 seconds more would represent the way that you would train. So that's really manageable.
Yeah.
Fuck, a 9:30 mile. And if you run 9 minutes, then it's a percentage. So what I'm saying with the 90 seconds is not going to apply to everybody. But probably a minute to 90 seconds in addition to whatever you would normally run is probably a decent place to start for a lot of people. You want that heart rate only between, and again, there's heart rate equations you can find, calculators you can find on the internet, but your heart rate would be around 140. Once your heart rate starts to get into 150, 160, it's not bad, but you're just doing a different type of training, and you're doing a style of training that, unless you put it into a different category, it might not be the most optimal thing for you.
Yeah. Because
you need to run slow and you need to run fast. But as Nick Bear put it, if you run just a little bit above easy, like it's not a good spot to be in. You need something more specific than that. You need something to aim at. You need a goal.
Peeps, we love bringing you all this fitness information, and we also want to help bring that information to more people. So if you could help us out, hit that red subscribe button and then hit the notification bell, and we'll continue to bring you the heat. And I won't whisper in your ear. Talk to you guys later.